Welcome back to the Non-Fun Gerbils podcast. I'm Luke.
And I am George.
And this is episode 33. We are very happy to be back after taking just a few extra weeks off. And we are starting with an insightful chat with Sillytuna, who has had recent notoriety after selling his Covid Alien Cryptopunk for $11.7 million at Sothebys. But he's also a developer and a serious OG in the crypto space. We discuss the road to mainstream for NFTs, the problems to be resolved before the next hype wave, the future problem of malicious spam NFTs, the need for Native Ethereum contract wallets, as well as iteration and improvement on the ERC 721 standard, and much more. At the end, we announce the winner of That's Hot Gerbil and announce our next collaboration with one of our favourite artists in the space. We hope you enjoyed the episode.
Welcome to the Non-Fun Gerbils podcast, the show about digitally scarce gerbils, non-fungible assets, and the growing decentralized economy.
Okay, so Sillytuna, welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
We have actually met before the NFT space, and I'm not sure that you're aware of this, but we met back in September 2016 at a conference that you were, actually it was more of an education day you were running about blockchain and healthcare.
Oh, was it there?
Yeah, and we had a chat about the DAO at the time, and I was doing research for a healthcare app that I was working on at the time. So it was nice to actually meet you again and have that reference, because I think when I met you at the pub in London, I didn't get the opportunity to mention that.
Well, it's the thing is, most of us have been around this space one way or another or some of us have been around for a good few years. So you end up just bumping into the same people over and over again. It's like, oh, suddenly you're like the old guard who were doing this, and you remember when none of us had any money, it was all rubbish. So, some things have changed, some things haven't.
So maybe you could, so introduce sort of your background and sort of how you got into the space and how long you've been in the space as well.
So my background is a game developer, and I ran a game studio since about 95, 96. And then just as I was sort of closing that down, I moved into just doing indie games, and we had a hit indie game called Euphoria, which is an Apple Award winner. Someone wanted to buy it with Bitcoin in 2012, late 2012 this was, I think. And so I sort of read the email. I'd heard of Bitcoin. I'd at one point nearly had the studio mining Bitcoin, but I didn't, which is a big mistake when you look back on things. But in the end, I did look at Bitcoin, and I fell down the rabbit hole and bought my first one in March 2013. Went through all sorts of ups and downs with Bitcoin, not just trading it, but with being part of an advisor to a terrible scammy mining company, and just had the whole experience really. Was once interviewed by Vitalik for some game and Bitcoin stuff I did before, but Vitalik was known for something slightly better than Bitcoin. Slightly different from Bitcoin. I can't say better, can I? But it is.
Controversial, like it.
So I've been in and around the space doing all kinds of stuff since 2013, I guess, or late 2012.
Well, it's great to be joining the ranks of Vitalik in people that have interviewed you.
Yes. Vitalik, who at a meetup in 2013, July 2013, I think it was, he told me, I've just quit, I've quit my university degree because I just went working for Bitcoin Magazine full time and doing Bitcoin full time. Right? You might have wanted to get your degree first because you never know if it's going to be useful. I don't think it was going to be useful. I think you did just fine. In that room that day, I said to my friend who I was with, someone in this room is the next Mark Zuckerberg. And I think it was right next to me on the table was Vitalik. I didn't guess who, I have to say, but it's a fun anecdote.
That's hilarious. Yeah. And who needs degrees anyway? They are the legacy, aren't they?
Mine was never useful. maybe one day it'll be.
Nor was mine. I don't think anyone was in crypto, really, was it? I mean, I guess if you're deep into computer science, maybe, but us loafers, no. It's got nothing to do with what I did. Never mind.
So recently, you've had a lot of exposure in the space, or a lot of, I suppose, attention from your sale of your Alien Punk at Sotheby's. How did that come about? What was your I don't want to say what was your goal there, because obviously it was to sell the punk, but maybe there was more to it.
Sort of, actually. Yeah, you see, you say that. What was your goal, to sell the punk? Yes and no. If I had been in it just for the money, I could have sold it for more in April and just done it direct. I had offers. I would probably have just stuck it up onto Lava Labs with like a 5,000 or 6,000 ETH price, and just said, well, if anyone ever hits it, then that's fine. If no one hits it, I'm fine keeping it. But I bought it, and I told the person I bought it from that I was buying it to do something interesting, and I didn't know what that was. And I said, if it means I sell it tomorrow or in 10 years, like that both of those things could happen. I'm not going to say, because I don't know. But I should say, because I didn't say in the intro, I have been around the NFT space since before they were called NFTs. And I had a startup which sold to a US publisher like a while back as well, which is around NFTs. So I've been around the NFT space for a long time. And so I kind of wanted to do something else in that space, or do actually multiple other things. And one of them was like, well, you know what? Wouldn't it be nice to do something really interesting with what I think is one of the top NFTs? And I sort of built a little thesis around it based on being avatars as well as digital collectibles. And the opportunity to sell at Sothebys was basically an opportunity to publicize NFTs as well as CryptoPunks and what we do, and lay a marker in the sand, which is what it's done. And it's just as the Lava Labs one did with Christie's, and just as the Beeple sale did. In a few years' time, people will look at all these things as markers in the space, and if NFTs work out, then they'll be important. If NFTs don't work out, then they'll just be interesting, but they'll still be there, and I'll still be sort of, from a completely egotistical point of view, my name will be associated with it, and the name Sillytuna is so stupid and ridiculous. I kind of laugh at seeing that in the papers. So for me, it's a bit of entertainment. The money is good. Like, I did profit from it, I won't lie, but I'm in the crypto space. We all do things for lots of different reasons. It's not just one. And
And what was it like? Working with Sotheby's on that. Like what's their level? They must have quite a deep sort of level of knowledge now about this, and in order to sort of curate sales in these items. And are they purely selling to sort of the crypto market, via their brand, or are they bringing in new interest into the space?
So if Sotheby's and Christie's and the like can't sell, or if they're only selling to the regular crypto space, then there's no point in them being there, because we can sell quite happily into the crypto space. There are some exceptions even in that, which I'll mention in a minute. But generally speaking, I believe they have to be there to bring in new audiences. And in fact, the buyer of mine was not. I think is his first NFT, or certainly his first major NFT.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
And that's not someone I could have reached. It's someone that's they could reach because of their brand, and that's where their power is. Where I think they do have some other power as well is the particular auction I was in was curated, and they had a really, really good mix of artists. It's Robert Alice is the curator, and he spent a lot of time getting a really diverse mixture of renowned artists, not crypto artists, renowned crypto artists, and new artists, like from diverse jurisdictions and whatever, some of whom had barely sold before. And that meant that for those artists that no one had heard of, that brought them new attention. For the artists who hadn't really done much crypto stuff but were renowned artists, that brought them attention from the crypto crowd. And then there are some well-known crypto artists as well. So Fuck Rando or whoever, it's they didn't need to sell through Sotheby's, but what it does is it helps their reputation to have sold by Sotheby's. And finally, they also sold an NFT called Quantum, which is the first NFT, which I've actually had to spend a lot of time recently making sure it is the first NFT and dealing with ownership stuff. I actually had an option to try and buy that privately before, but I felt that it's one of those NFTs that if I hadn't heard of it, hardly anyone else had heard of it, but it is a really important part of history. You need someone like Sotheby's to bring it to people's attention and awareness. And when I sold my punk, straight away I bought the next thing in the sale, which was Quantum, which is the first ever crypto art NFT. And I think that has, I actually think long term, if NFTs work, it has more value than the CryptoPunk because it's the first crypto art NFT. So for anyone who buys art in the future, what are you going to get? Well, that one is like a no-brainer. So those are the kind of items that Sothebys and Christie's can add value to, and they can add value to the artists that they're selling as well. But there will be other things as well. But it's that's where it's interesting. But for general sales, then I don't think they add value. What they do is they add value on that high end or to particular artists. But for a lot of NFTs, there's no real point. So it's a balance. And I think they're going to learn what things are right for them to sell that are going to generate money and reputation, what things are just not quite right for them, because there are an awful lot of fees attached. So when I bought my Quantum, I buy a buyer's premium and I pay VAT. So there's the hammer price, which is $1.2 million. Then by the time all the fees are finished, it's more like 1.75. And if I'm buying on crypto market, I don't have any of that. I'm just buying at $1.2 million, whatever the hammer price is, or the effective hammer price is. But the value that they add is that I don't think that piece would have been worth anything like as much if they weren't selling it. And that's how these things work. So they give and they take away, and you just have to add up which one's worthwhile. Like the Beeple sale was a big deal. When Beeple sold an artwork for $69 million, maybe it would have done that, or maybe it wouldn't have done if it was private. But I tell you what, it brought so much attention to the space. It sort of validates a lot of things, even though we're going to go through these dips and so on. Like over a long period, it validates things, and that's what they bring to the space. So the right artists, the right artworks, then all the extra things they have to do, and all the issues buying and selling through them. And there are issues which they have to resolve. I have to say all of them. That they do have value to add, but they're just going to be a component in the space. It's certainly not going to replace the majority of crypto sales. But they're a really good interface for traditional buyers and a way to promote like specific artists and projects.
Do you see a sort of future where, because I was going to ask about, having those traditional entities coming in to the NFT space and getting involved, obviously a clear upside in terms of exposure for NFTs and broadening the space. What you've already explained the downside, which is, the fees. And going forwards, do you see them either being made redundant because as soon as their traditional buyers are going to be exposed to the space and see the other markets where the fees are much lower and there's less resistance to buying and exchanging there, do you think they will move on, or do you think Sotheby's and these other traditional places will have to just lower their fees and make things more streamlined to be competitive? Or do you think they'll still keep doing their own thing and it won't really make a difference?
I don't really know about the fee structures. They may well find they get some more competition from similar companies who do have different fee structures for digital artwork. And it might be that they have to do that on the digital side, because the workload is a bit different, but it's not hugely different. Their job is to bring things to attention of people that perhaps they wouldn't see, and to be able to bring you sales you wouldn't have necessarily got. And on the flip side, it's as an investor, I want to see stuff there that perhaps I would have missed before, or I can get a better deal there. So there's a mix of things. The VAT and sales tax issue is a different one, and I suspect there's going to be more. If anyone who's operating like that in crypto will end up having to deal with that as well. There's a lot of tax and regulatory things that crypto companies are just avoiding right now, and that's not going to last forever. They may end up having to look at how their fee structures work. But I think more important than the fee structures is they need to, and this is a general thing, it's not a criticism of Sotheby's, who've worked their arse off on this, I have to say. They need to understand that when people buy using cryptocurrency, they expect to be able to pay from any address, whereas in our case, they had to pay from Coinbase. They don't like having to KYC, but I don't think you've got any choice. Actually, it turned out not really to be an issue. But there are a whole bunch of things around both Christie's Lava Lab sale and around my sale, where although Sotheby's had learned, there was still a lot of friction that didn't need to be there that affects the value you can receive. And those friction points are mostly around payment and sort of the method of sale. And there's a level of comfort that the compliance departments in these companies, they're going to have to get to, or they will be someone else, another auction house probably, like it could be Philips or someone else, another auction house or new starter will end up beating them to the punch on these things. They have to become more flexible. Whilst they don't have to not be compliant, they have to be compliant with regulations, but they have to be more flexible with how they deal with that stuff and reduce the friction levels. For example, we were trying to set up to allow DAOs to buy, and we got somewhere with it, but we didn't get where we wanted to be. And then in the end, you need to allow all these things. It needs to be much easier to buy using crypto. And even things like payment terms, whilst I can't go into the details on payment terms, they are not bad, but they expose the receiver to crypto risk, which I don't think should happen. Because if I'm selling on the crypto markets, it's like an atomic swap. The buyer gets the item, I get the money, and if I want to go and sell it for dollars straight away, then I can. If there's any delay in that, as we've seen in the markets in the last few weeks, you can lose 30% in a day, and that's not a great situation, I have to say. So I think there are a bunch of things they can learn, and they will do it. It takes time. This is all very, very new to them. I mean, even one of the things that they found very strange is that people even revealed who they were as buyers or prospective buyers. We had Pranksy publicly saying, "I'm going to bid on the CryptoPunk," for example. And I was talking to Mike because I had to get him permission and stuff. And Michael, who arranged things for Sothebys, he was like talking to me privately, going, "This is weird, like because we're used to people wanting to remain private in the blockchain world. It's the complete opposite. They want everyone to know they're bidding on these things." I went, yeah, I mean, you get the mix of private bidders, but there's a profile aspect to this. If Pranksy bids on something, then everyone's watching. It helps his profile and reputation, and he can make a play off that, and that's a key point. But sometimes I might do stuff privately, but sometimes I will do it publicly for the same reasons. And so there's these other weird aspects they're not used to having to deal with. I mean, even DAOs, like trying to explain DAOs to the legal departments. I mean, it's a bit of a nightmare. So all these companies, they are doing. I know there was some criticism of like any of these people being involved, but I don't accept that criticism because like most of us, well, all of us live in the real world as well as the digital world, and in the real world, there are things that matter that we've sort of got away with in the blockchain space, and every now and again we get away with less and less. Like recently, like just today or yesterday, there was the news that Binance is getting clamped down upon in the UK, like they're not going to do some of their trading and stuff. All these things will happen, and that includes things like tax issues being dealt with, AML issues being dealt with, over NFTs this is, issuers of NFTs having more compliant stuff. I'm doing an NFT project. We talk to the lawyers as a UK company issuing NFTs. It is not as trivial as I would like it to be type of thing. So these companies getting involved, it's not a bad thing. It's just part of becoming accepted in society. And some of the things those companies are having to do, crypto companies will have to do. It's just we've got away with it. So it's just, for me, it's just another aspect of the space. People do not... The nice thing about crypto is that you don't have to buy or sell anything through Sothebys or Christie's. They're not telling you what to buy or sell. They're just an option. You want to buy and sell over OpenSea, you can. If you want to do it direct, you can. If you want to use Flow or Tezos, you can. People sometimes get so het up that there's an option they don't like, they forget the fact it's an option. They just don't have to use it. And that's how I feel about them. Anyway, they're clearly there for the money, but who cares? Like, who in crypto doesn't have a financial aspect to it? It's just, that's crypto all over.
One of those things we've got away with is KYC, isn't it? Because technically you're supposed to do KYC for any transaction over 10,000.
Yeah, I will be surprised if the OpenSeas of this world don't require users to KYC for certain transactions at some point. But what will happen is that we'll have some more nice decentralized trading platforms, which will just go straight to the smart contracts. So that's what regulators are just going to have to deal with. Like, they don't like any of this, but get over it. What they should be doing is wherever the outflows are, exchanges, for example. That's where they should be doing their stuff, and I completely accept that. But they should not be doing it for these things and buying. Let people buy and sell whatever they want. But the fact is, as soon as they want to spend it on something that has more use, it becomes a different situation. Having said that, NFTs are kind of complicated because they're going to get more use. I kind of look at, when you really stand back and you look at how the world works and how money flows and how money is used to manage society and to control economies and to deal with criminal matters, let's say. You go, okay, money actually is being used, but it's a very modern thing. There's nothing that says money has to be used for this. In the end, if there's criminality, deal with it as criminality. You don't have to resort to criminalizing money and financial stuff. I'm not saying there shouldn't be regulations. I'm just saying that there is a quite succinct argument that things have gone too far, and the tax just needs completely modernizing, for example, rather than trying to apply it where it can't be. AML and KYC needs complete modernizing. I accept why there are reasons for it, but for example, there's no reason that we should have blockchain-based KYC where you don't have to reveal who you are, but you can reveal your age, or you can reveal that a bank has certified you. So you're not actually saying anything other than that one aspect, and you share that aspect as an assertion. And maybe NFT contracts or OpenSea, you just have to check that bit, but you don't have to send your ID off to them, which is a horrible and archaic, terrible thing to do. So there's all these kind of things where I think we're dealing with a lot of laws and regulations that, whether it's Christie's and Sotheby's, or whether it's OpenSea or Binance, we're dealing with a lot of archaic stuff where we could modernize it an awful lot, but it's going to take time. And every time we hit these walls, something will get banned, and then everything will crash, and then it will all come back. And it's Binance. The Binance news is like it's like, this has been going on since I was in crypto, and for another 10 years we're going to hit these regulatory barriers, but eventually we'll find our way past them. And actually, weirdly enough, Sotheby's, Christie's et al. Being involved in this space is going to help us pass them, because they reveal things that they have to do, and then they'll work out how they can do things slightly better. And OpenSea will go, okay, well, our lawyers are now saying we've got to do this, and crypto NFT people will accept their side, and we'll eventually find the right place. But it will never be exactly how we want, because the world isn't free in that sense. For some good reasons, and for some bad reasons.
Do you think a way of tracking reputation through NFTs might be a part of the solution?
No. Because NFTs are if NFTs are transferable, you can't transfer reputation. No, it's not. Blockchain, decentralized tech. I really believe that although identity is a very complicated area, I did some work on identity, and it's really complicated. I absolutely believe that decentralized tech has a role to play in identity. But NFTs, no, because not if they're transferable. They may have I had a discussion with a colleague of mine about what defines an NFT, and it's not actually that easy. He was like, NFTs have to be transferable, and I said, no, they just have to be potentially transferable. But a contract could say, well, it's not transfer. It's using all the same tech, but it's just not transferable. It's linked to this address, unless the issuer allows you to transfer it because you've got a new address or something. So it's potentially transferable. At that point, reputation can be an NFT because it's always hooked to you as opposed to someone else. And that NFT, it could have data on it that's associated with reputation, or it could be like an achievement, which is defined as a reputation. So it is actually more complicated than I said. But it can't just be freely. I can't have an NFT that confers reputation and transfer that to you, because that's just cheating. But if I can transfer it to myself, well, that's fair enough. So is it an NFT? I'm not sure, but it's decentralized tech. Absolutely, it should be, because I should not have my reputation controlled by Amazon or Apple. Absolutely not. They can feed into it, like totally, but they shouldn't maintain it.
And does it come? Is it more the use of cryptographic keys to be able to prove identity and prove who you are, and wherever that's linked, you can sign off and say, yes, I am this person, without actually giving your full details?
Yeah, and I'm going to paraphrase Ian Grigg. Here when he says it confirms that you have access to the key, or someone who has access to the key. It doesn't confirm who you are, because it's pretty easy to proxy a private key. In fact, it's very easy to proxy a private key. And in fact, when we were doing Ownage, which is our NFT project, that was one of the issues we were trying to resolve, was what if I have a lot of game items, well, in theory, only I should use that because I've got the keys. So only I can prove who I am. But actually, I could just do an API online and proxy it. So you have to remember that people can proxy identities. It's not quite so easy as people would like to think. There are complications. But I think there are still really good things you can do, and it just might have to be, there might have to be a bit more to it. But proxying is a real problem when you think about keys.
Okay. So, onto the craze of the blowing up of the NFT space over the last 6 months. How do you think that went, and where do you think we stand now?
How do I think it happened? You mean?
How did you see it go? What were some highlights to you? What was insane? What was good and what was bad?
Well, clearly the highlight was selling an alien CryptoPunk for $10 million. So that's the easy highlight.
Clear
done.
highlight, yeah.
Yep, done. People selling for $69 million. But I think what was actually more interesting, well, there were two really interesting points where I need to sort of stand back a little bit. One is that it hit mainstream awareness. Both good and bad resulted from it. But the fact is, it hit mainstream awareness just as Bitcoin hit mainstream awareness. NFTs for a time there were absolutely huge, and everyone was asking, "What's an NFT? What's going on? What's it all about?" And I think that's really important going forwards, because some of the things we're going to need to be able to do with NFTs, they are going to benefit so much from that awareness that we've just had. When you want Apple and Sony to allow NFTs to be running through their app store or being purchased through their app store, when you want native NFT and wallet apps on phones, not just Samsung, it was really difficult for any of us to get any attention from Apple and Google and all those companies. Now you've got the big investors and the big celebrities going, we really need our NFTs to be used on an iPhone. I want to be selling my NFTs. So now Apple and Google have to pay attention, and they will, and they have to deal with the regulatory issues of selling an NFT through the App Store. I've got no issue giving away a percentage of my revenue to Apple or Google if I'm selling through their App Store. But right now, I can't do that because there just isn't the option. And to me, for NFTs to be even remotely popular with like a mainstream audience, as opposed to where we've had it, we need to have NFTs that are $1, that are 10 cents, that are $10. And we need people to be able to buy and sell them, or at least be able to buy them through app stores. And we need wallets that are native to phones, which make it all easy to use. And right now it's a complete mess, all of that stuff. And until that happens, I don't believe NFTs can become truly mainstream. I think that user experience issue, it's a crypto-wide issue. We have to have wallets that just run on phones. And they're probably provided by Apple and Google and Facebook and whatever. And until then, I don't think we'll ever be properly mainstream. Once that happens, we will be able to go properly mainstream, because we can then focus on the utility. So the fact that we've got big, like huge investors like Mark Cuban involved, the fact that we've got Hollywood people involved, like there are plenty of people in Hollywood involved, that we've got celebrities involved, that is a really, really big deal. Even though a lot of them are doing a load of really rubbish NFTs, it's brought attention that's really, really critical. So I think that's a really important thing right now.
So this is the sort of the hype that brings the awareness, and then it highlights that, yeah, things need to be built first before we can really.
Yeah, we are. The technology is not ready. Things like, there's a lot of core tech that isn't ready anyway, scaling tech. But also the issue that Ethereum uses proof of work and uses a lot of energy became a way to bash Ethereum and bash artists. And it's used to bash NFTs. Now, regardless of the merits of all of that, because there aren't, there's an absolutely discussion to have. It's just not the discussion that was happening. Once Ethereum is proof of stake, the whole thing goes away, and it has been a huge problem. And once it goes away, you can bash NFTs because you don't agree with them, fine, but you can't bash them for something to do with the environment, which was used as a hammer to hit artists, which is really unfortunate. And it caused a lot of division, which is ridiculous, actually. But it surprised me, but it did show there's an aspect there that I wasn't quite aware was going to be a problem. There was a problem, and we just need to get that fixed. And then when NFTs come back, which will be in a year or 2 years' time, we'll have better tech. We will have proof of stake for all the major NFT platforms, not just a few of them. We should have better user experiences, even if we're not yet supported by Apple and Google. We should have decentralized coverage of the actual assets themselves, because at the moment there's too much that's completely centralized. We should have a more scalable platform with lower gas fees, whether it's Ethereum or not. Like all these problems need to be resolved, because I just believe you have to have very, very cheap, low value things that happen to be NFTs. So that more people can access them and play around with them and start getting the benefits of them. And do more experiments. You can't be buying art that's $250 every time. You need to buy art that's $5 and $10 and let it grow and let those audiences expand. We're just not there yet.
when we did our first episode in 2018 with Owen Barnes, and he speculated that we were going to be seeing a lot more kind of trash and junk NFTs going around and junk projects. And that was with the, once Ethereum was scaling. And I don't think we foresaw that there'd be loads of junk projects and terrible things happening when Ethereum is still really expensive, and when launching anything is really expensive. But it's just because people are willing to throw money at anything, apparently, in the last few months.
Yeah, we've all done that.
Yeah. Do you think that's coming to an end, or do you think that's going to carry on for a bit?
No, I think it's come to an end. I think that like a lot of artists can't sell anything at the moment, so you have to have got a community. I'm surprised there are a lot of collections still coming out. So I've basically taken the last 2 weeks off, certainly off Twitter, and I keep flicking on briefly, and I'm seeing there's yet more projects that I haven't had time to track. People are really still going for stuff, but a lot less than they were, and I think that's actually partially a result of not enough utility, not enough ways to display them, and decentralized finance having a bad time, because that goes through phases. That said, on the topic of junk NFTs, I wouldn't describe a lot of what we've seen as, I describe them as money grabs, but I wouldn't describe them as junk. Junk NFTs, maybe you could describe them as junk, but maybe you could describe some of them as junk, but I think we need to bring up another topic, which is spam NFTs, which is what I was thinking of. So a friend of mine, Crown Ghoul, he and another friend of ours did a test on Matic, on Polygon network. What can we spam the network? And they did it as a proof of concept to basically go, guys, like OpenSea and Polygon and everyone else, you've got to be prepared for this, because it's going to happen. We're going to spam you with bad NFTs. Those NFTs could be actually downright illegal to even be in your possession or to display on your screen. If a child pornography NFT is trivial and cheap to send to everyone on Polygon, and someone's going to do it, and that's such a major issue. And we have been warning some marketplaces about this for a while, and they've not dealt with it, and now they're going to have to. So Crown Ghoul did a spam NFT test. It didn't go down very well, but in terms of everyone was like, "What on earth is going on? This is terrible." But it was to make a point. This is going to happen. Next time, it's not going to be as a test. Next time, it's going to be someone doing it to advertise something. Because we all get dodgy we all get bad NFTs dropped in our inboxes if we're trading very much. But next time it could be a lot worse than that. It could be pornographic or outright or downright seriously illegal. And when you have a permissionless system for receiving NFTs, which is how Ethereum works, well, that's a major problem. I mean, to be honest, I would really like to have seen, and I tried to get Vitalik to talk about this the other day, and I might have to step it up. I would like to get the Ethereum community properly talking about a contract wallet, which is part of it, which is native to Ethereum and is not just another company doing it. Because contract wallets, the only way to fix a huge number of issues, unless you have a standard, unless they're super cheap to use, they're not going to be used. Having the raw wallets that we have right now is really bad for so many reasons, including they will automatically accept junk, and you've got no way of filtering stuff. And I just think it's one of the areas that Ethereum developers are not taking seriously, and I think Flow did take it seriously, although it's not perfect what they have either. I would like to see wallets take a step up from being raw to be native contract wallets. It's a separate point, but this junk NFT problem is just exposing this issue of all my stuff is public and I can't stop anything. And it's just one of many issues. The other issue that's come up is the issue of, so I know we're talking about junk NFT, is the issue of artists being hacked, which is also inevitable. As soon as I spoke to artists, it's like, so you're using MetaMask to mint a very unprotected MetaMask wallet to mint your NFTs, and that's going to be hacked. You're going to lose your money. You're going to lose your someone else is going to mint NFTs in your name, and you're going to be able to have another second address, which is going to be your next NFTs. You're going to lose your login to Maker's Place. We've done it all wrong, and we've done that wrong because I don't think wallets are taken seriously enough in the blockchain space. All these aspects are a problem of the blockchain space I've been banging on about for years. So junk NFTs, people being hacked, people losing the wallet they use to mint NFTs as artists, which is really valuable. It's how you sign stuff. I think that we're starting to see that exposed, and we're not taking it seriously enough as a community. In the Ethereum space, they are in some of the others, and that's one of my concerns. Like Ethereum needs to step up its game a little bit there, or at least establish an absolute standard. I said Flow, for whatever people hit on Flow for, Flow thought about this, and they deal with it better. There are privacy things you can do. You have more control. The wallets are handled, not perfectly at all, but they are handled a bit differently. I would just like to see a really proper discussion about this, which encompasses everything from backing up your wallet to usability, to recovery, to private and public spaces, to blocking spam stuff, all this kind of thing, or downgrading things, and it being extremely low cost to use. Whereas at the moment, contract wallets only deal with a subset of that. Some very well, but like they're expensive and there are incompatibilities. When they're a standard embedded in Ethereum, then there will not be those incompatibilities because it's just part of how Ethereum works. So I would love to see that actually dealt with. It's so overdue and it's so not being dealt with. That was an off-topic thing slightly, but it's
not at all. It's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. I suppose the main wallet that comes to mind that might sort of have that sort of capability, something like Argent, perhaps, which has that sort of on-chain aspect to it and contract aspect to it, and they have been fairly good in the NFT space. It's a useful thing to have, but I totally take the point that there's a huge amount of untested dangers still to come in this nascent space, and the permissionlessness of it is its greatest. It's the greatest aspect of it, but also has another side to it, and how we use the technology to create the way that allows the yin and the yang to basically not destroy this lovely thing that we've built is going to be super interesting to see how it plays out.
It might be that the way of doing it is not to build something native to Ethereum, because one of the big problems is there's two problems to contract wallets: standards, because if they're still not in any way remotely standard, and they need to be standard, and cost. There needs to be a way of essentially permissioning a contract wallet to operate at absolutely minimal cost, and then it should be the standard. Maybe people can pick. Maybe if you're, whatever wallet company you are, but maybe you can pick which contract wallet you use, or you get your own contract wallet approved by the Ethereum Foundation, and it's like contractors checks and so on, so it can be run at minimal cost. But I just think that contract wallets, the only way to fix a huge number of usability issues without us having to move to hosted wallets. And I'm a game developer. We really want to do like game NFTs, but it's still, the wallet issue is an absolute blocker. We just can't operate with the wallets that we have right now. It's either way too expensive or way too impractical. The user experience is just terrible. And hosting wallets, it's just awful. It's just exposed us to hacks, basically. There has to be a better solution. It'd be perhaps one of the things, what I did say actually, when I sold the Alien, I said I'll put a few percent of I'm going to give a few percent to charity. So to COVID charities and to artists in some form. And I said I'll put a few percent to NFT projects. And originally that was going to be around Lava Labs projects like CryptoPunks, Meebits, but it's actually changed my mind. I want to just do it wider to sort of benefit the space. And just in this conversation, it's just reminded me that this issue is so big. Maybe I will put a little budget to a hackathon around how can we really deal with this issue, instead of just assuming a private company is going to do a contract wallet like Gnosis or Argent or whatever. This is an Ethereum-wide issue, and Ethereum could actually, it's not just Ethereum, but we could get ahead of everyone if we actually thought about this properly and really took it to heart. But spam NFTs is just yet another problem that an open wallet has. We have no privacy. And privacy is actually really important legally, so we should start thinking about it.
Can you explain how a contract wallet would address that? What would the functionality be that can you just only have whitelisted NFTs coming in or something like that?
Yeah, so if you have a contract, assuming you're not changing Ethereum natively, so assuming it's a contract wallet that perhaps is just permission to run at low cost or something and follows like a standard, because I know there are different standards around. Again, you could essentially do it so that when it accepts NFTs, you could essentially put them into two piles. Perhaps it depends on how. Again, it depends on if the how the systems need to work. because obviously the way the ERC-721s work is slightly different as well. But really what you want to be able to do is an NFT could be whitelisted, or it could be approved by a Web of Trust type system, where it just to be automatically whitelisted. Because if I just follow, say, I could follow OpenSea or follow a Web of Trust which OpenSea and Makerspace and so on are all part of, or multiple Webs of Trust. If the NFT issuer is in that Web of Trust, then I accept it. If it's not in that Web of Trust, then I reject the transfer. But unfortunately, I know that 71s don't work quite like this, so it would require a change in the 71 standard. But the way it could work is simply when you're looking to see what items someone owns, you could actually check in the contract wallet to see if it was accepted or not, as opposed to just going to the contract of the NFT. So is this acceptable to this wallet? Yes, no. If no, then we assume it's not in the wallet and we will not display it on OpenSea, for example. You don't need a contract wallet quite for that, but it's just one way of doing it. Unfortunately, the whole 71 is such an archaic standard. Really, you need a proper upgrade to that to make it a much more flexible standard. And anyone building new NFT stuff is building stuff in a very, very different way. So I'm part of, I know, well, I'm just speaking to someone who's doing NFT stuff on Dfinity, for example, the internet computer. And you start looking at what an NFT needs, and you go, well, that 71 standard, it was great for what it did, but it's so archaic in the way it operates. It doesn't allow some of this. Whereas on Flow, you've got more control. Flow has this idea of private and public spaces. So there's a lot of things you can do, but on Ethereum, it would require some like a new NFT standard and stuff like that. But you shouldn't stand still. It's easy to go, yeah, but 7-to-1 is widely accepted. Yeah, but 7-to-1 is old, and 1155 is quite broken. But there are learnings you can take from both and from what's going on in other systems. And the mistake that I've always seen as a risk with Ethereum is not trying to iterate some of these things after a period of time. And I still have that concern a little bit. I do favour Ethereum, so I'd like to see Ethereum succeed. But at some point, if you don't keep updating things, then you do lose. And I think privacy aspects, that's one of those areas where you go, okay, there's something we can do here to try and improve privacy somehow. But that might include updating the token standards to actually adding some extra features to them.
Well, there's no reason why we should stand still. I mean, it's the same argument with Bitcoin. Should there be anything else? Is everything else a shitcoin? You can't stand still.
Yeah. But I mean, Ethereum doesn't stand still, to be fair. But I think there's a set of points here that it'd be good to get the people who helped with the 721 standard together and the ERC20 standard together and go and have an open conversations. How can we improve these standards? How can we deal with the issues that we've got now and that we've got in the future? And combine that with general wallet issues and general privacy issues and recovery issues. Because there's going to be lots of standards and half standards that I'm not aware of. But these are the kind of things where I see them being like really, really holding blockchains generally back. And Ethereum is a very popular blockchain, but it's not the only one. When it comes down to it, what you're really trying to do is improve the user experience. All these bits I'm talking about how can, from my phone and my computer, how can I use NFTs cheaply and safely? And it's actually, that's about as far as it goes. Even finding out what NFTs someone owns on Ethereum is a frigging nightmare because it's this archaic standard and it shouldn't be like that. We should have a proper wallet on Ethereum, like a proper standard for how NFTs are held in the future. And yes, those 71s are great and they can be upgraded or they can be just assumed to be compatible in some form. But actually, we should update this and go, okay, let's create the next version of NFTs that's going to have royalties embedded, all this sort of stuff, and without hacking it into 71s, ideally. I don't know. I mean, it might not be doable, but I know on other platforms that is what's happening, and it'd be a shame not to look at Ethereum and go, okay, how can we do the next generation of stuff? But you have to have all the parties at the table to agree that, or you used to have a proposal put to all the parties in order for it to become like established standards. And it takes time to do that when you already have a standard that is well used. But if we want to expand the space, we need to deal with usability issues one way or another. And either you just let the free market get there gradually and slowly, or you do your bit to try and hasten things.
Well, incoming Sillytuna hackathon then. Sort it out.
Maybe, I'm not sure. I mean, it's not sure it needs a hackathon. I think it more needs like enough people in the space to get together and go, okay, we agree that we can improve things. Let's actually roadmap this out and go, let's aim for in 12 months' time, NFT 2.0. or 721B or whatever you want to call it. Let's deal with the issues we've got. We know it's going to take a lot of time because it'll be a lot of discussion. But let's actually write down what all the issues are and then work out, is there a way to fix them? And even the discussion, it might not be it comes to a final answer, but the discussion might help people who are writing improvements to 71s and extensions. It might end up just being that way. But it might be just good to have the right heads in the room do this. Because I want to see NFTs popular, I want to see Ethereum work, and I want to see wallets less hackable. I want to see more login systems using crypto stuff. And new projects like Definity or whatever Definity's faults, and it has many, not at least slightly crazy token stuff going on. There's the opportunity there to do interesting things, and it's not going to be the only one that does it. Someone else will come along and do it better. And Ethereum has the user base. So we should make use of this user base and developers and try and sit down now and as things get quieter, which they are now, okay, let's fix these and not just leave it to private companies doing their 25 different versions of it. Because I know there's so many people doing little bits of this and royalties and stuff. We need standards.
Fascinating. Edging into a different direction, you talked about communities being core to artists and to projects that are growing and trying to release. At the moment, everything is Discord, isn't it? Pretty much. Is this a massive ticking time bomb waiting to happen? All NFT communities being centralized around Discord? I
don't think so.
No?
I think I don't think it's a ticking time bomb at all. I think Discord is used by so much stuff. And the truth is, if something dodgy happens to Discord, like there are alternatives that people can move to quite quickly. So no, I really don't think it's a ticking time bomb. I think there are things that Discord can do better to stop some of the spam stuff that's happening and some of the fraud stuff that happens via Discord. My issue with Discord is actually not that it's a centralized risk. My issue is more that projects are not taken seriously enough that they keep communicating everything through Discord. Like, how many Discords can one person be on and pay attention to? I have so many Discords. I've come back to 100 mentions. I already have some organized Discords which are just following like announcement channels, and it's a nightmare. What people need to do is take seriously the fact they need to have frigging mail lists where they make announcements and don't do everything like that day and assume everyone sees the news, especially when it's something important. They use Discord for this, and it's not practical, and they're losing users and they're not realizing it. You need to have mail lists, because weirdly enough, mail lists are still the way most people see stuff. And I have seen one or two projects like start out trying to solve this problem. We need to have better ways to announce news and to send news to people, rather than having them lost on endless different Discord channels, which is what happens. So that's problem needs solving, because that's quite an NFT thing. But unlike games, news happens all the time, and you have to tend to react to it, and you might need to know you've got to do something. That's the problem with Discord. It's not. I don't think there's a centralized problem. I think there's a communicating critical news problem, and I don't know the best solution. Mail list is one way, but there may be another way. I just want to be able to get critical news. I want to be able to tick some boxes. Send me the critical news for these projects. Done. And getting it in my inbox would be the great way to do it. There are one or two projects that are looking at it. That's what I want. But I don't have a problem with Discord itself. Discord is actually a nice platform.
No, it is great to use. Yeah, I worry about it, privacy implications of it, and all messages being hoovered up and aggregated.
Yeah, but I think if you're trying to do something particularly private, like where you would really worry about, like who are you worrying about getting hold of the messages is what I would say. The company or someone in the company, absolutely. And I, weirdly enough, like from some stuff I did previously, without going into details, I was warned not to send certain private stuff over Discord, because I was warned that there was a definite non-zero, i.e. not insignificant chance that certain parties would be able to get access should they wanted to. And I don't mean legal stuff here, like legal stuff, fine. So I think you have to be aware on any platform like that anything you write, there's a possibility someone will get to see it. So just use it carefully. But I don't think for the vast majority of us, I don't think we're really sending anything over there that's, we might not like someone seeing it, but it's not like a life-threatening thing, or it's not going to suddenly allow someone to steal something away. Don't send critical passwords over there unless you're changing it or two-factoring it or whatever. But I have to say, I don't. I can't say something won't ever go wrong. I definitely wouldn't say that. But things can go wrong very badly on decentralized platforms as well. And yeah, it's for me, it's not an issue. If you want to do something really private, use Signal or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. That's totally fair. I mean, people should be, acting accordingly and being, careful what they actually post in Discord. So,
Calculate your risk. The vast majority of us are not doing anything that's risky. I mean, even stuff like passwords. I mean, if it's a pretty minimal password and you're two-factoring stuff, and it's a private message, you're probably going to be fine. Not the most sensible way to do it. Like I try and do that stuff like on a separate non-Discord channel. But for NFT stuff generally, like unless you're sending private keys around, like don't do that. No, I just don't see an issue. Most NFT stuff that's private it only matters for a matter of days anyway, because it's usually about a release or something like that, and so it's
Yes. Well, we've covered a lot. That's going to be a lot for everyone to digest, I think. Are you still doing Clubhouse events? You've been quite active there.
I've only done one or two in the last 6 weeks because I've been just too busy and tired. I actually really enjoyed doing them. I did a Twitter, I can't remember what the Twitter platform's called. I did a Twitter one when the Punk sold, it's a different platform. It's better in some ways than Clubhouse, worse than others. It was a bit crashy as well. I would like to do some more Clubhouse stuff, but I think it's just going to have to wait a little bit until I've actually had time to recover and get through a few things. So I do plan on doing some more Clubhouses with Chris and with Dave, but it might not be for like a little while. It might be when we've got some more stuff coming out, actually. We've got a couple of projects that we're working on. Because they were fun, actually. We did really, really enjoy them. But it was a Friday night, and I lose my Friday night, which is not always beneficial. As you know, it's Friday night. It's like, oh my God.
This is why I often had one ear in, and then if you'd say, "Oh, come up on stage," you're like, I can't talk.
But I do things on other nights of the week. You see, so it's quite difficult to pick the right night. So I would like to do stuff. Chris really enjoyed it as well. Dave learned loads doing it. I'm just not sure if the day will change. I mean, actually, sort of makes me want to do it more now that a lot of the NFT clubhouses have got less busy, because we were always like one of the more fun ones, and there's other topics to cover. But it's just a time thing. I want to cut down how much I'm doing, because I'm just doing so much, and it's so tiring. For people who don't know, I have 2 or 3 game projects. I have 2 NFT projects, plus my own trading stuff, which I do, and little bits here there. And I do some investing, and I do little advisory and consultancy stuff. And it just got to the point where it's just too much. What I want to do now is really just spend my time focusing on the projects and not doing much of the other stuff. So I'm not going to do much NFT trading or anything like that, because it's as you know, just trying to follow the market is hard. And brutal truth is I don't need the money. So I'm interested in following the projects a bit, but I don't want to be sitting trading because of the time involved.
Can you give us a view on what some of those projects are? But I guess maybe you're not in that mode yet.
No, listen. 2 of the projects that, like the game stuff, is not crypto at all. So I do. I'm a game developer, so I have games. Now, having said that, we have got crypto angles to them. So we have another Euphoria coming out, which has been in dev for many years because it's been very part-time. It's a single-player sort of RPG game. But we have actually got some NFT trees that we've been developing for that, which will come out at some point. We have a stop-motion animated, like 8-player brawler game, which is really, really fun. And we expect to do some tournaments with like die rewards, that type of stuff. And it's designed so that we can have NFTs for character customization. But I'm just not happy enough with the user experience at the moment to send we're a tiny team of like 1 full-time and 2 or 3 part-time people. So we don't want to be spending time dealing with blockchain problems at the moment. But that's both of these. You can come to the Discord, which is linked from my Twitter, Sillytuna, and you can play those games for free or play the betas. We do all our dev in public with our community, so anyone's welcome to play those. NFT projects. I have a project called Incoherence Club, which is actually about curating 4 or 5 different artworks and selling them as bundles. That we were going to release that a couple of months ago, but gas prices got insane, and then Ethereum crashed, and then I did the Alien sale. So we've actually got the first bundle lined up, but we just need to go back and finish what we were doing. And that's mainly because I've just been so busy. But the idea of that was just to bundle up artwork as a different way to release and help artists promote other artists. And probably have that as a DAO if that works out. So the artists and buyers would all earn a share of the DAO and could participate equally in a colony DAO, in fact, if you know colony DAO, Luke. So
yeah, certainly.
and then the other bigger project, which we haven't announced yet, it's an NFT project, and I think I'm just going to leave it at that because I don't want to. Oh, it's cool. I can say it's the working name is Soulcast, and it's got a generative element and a trading card element, and that's about as far as I can say. And it's an experimental project, so I'm always hesitant to say it'll come out because I don't know. But it's looking really good so far. Actually, it's like a really nice project. We're all game developers who are working on it, so it is an NFT trading project with a little gamified element to it. So that's a fun one that we're just experimenting with. And the nice thing that I have is I've got the opportunity to try all these things, and if they completely fail, that's completely fine too. I would just be annoyed if I never got a chance to try them. But it does keep me very busy.
Awesome. Well, go and find you on Twitter and all of those places that you just said. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just thanks for inviting me on. You just do more podcasts.
We do. We've had a couple of weeks off, and we are.
We're back. Yeah,
we're back.
The gerbils are back.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. It's been great.
No, thank you very much.
So, George.
Yes, my friend.
It's good to be back.
So good. It's been a little break, but I think this is the perfect episode to relaunch ourselves.
Absolutely, yeah. And thanks, Sillytuna, for coming and joining us and helping us do that. We need to talk about gerbils now. Yeah,
we got some crackers to read out, and we've had some help from a friend.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, the long-awaited That's Hot gerbil. It's been a while, and it's been a long wait to find out who's won. So yeah, do you want to get started?
Yeah, I'll kick off with another fantastic excerpt from Alan Falcon. So yeah, thanks so much for this. She descends to the lower level of her gilded gerbil cage, peering through the bars as the humans trip over themselves to present their wares for her judgment. That's Hot gerbil twitches her whiskers in disapproval time and again, dismissing the offerings one after another. Along comes a masked human whose offering is concealed beneath a black velvet cloth. The scent of something rich wafts up to the gerbil. She stands on hind legs, cocks her head slightly. What could it be? The human starts to displace the cloth and then pauses suddenly. That's Hot gerbil claws at the cage, her tiny, painted-on eyebrows furrow. Everyone in the room holds their breath. The human continues to hold the cloth pinched between their fingers, raised but not removed. The gerbil squeaks. Well, what is it? What have you brought me? That's it, answers the human, dropping the cloth back into place. Just that. I bring... And then a long pause before... Anticipation. All eyes turn to the gerbil. Her mouth opens, then closes, then opens again, and she says simply, "That's hot."
Fantastic.
Yeah, he really paints a picture, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. Thanks, Alan.
That's definitely a storytelling award there.
Mm-hmm. But alas, it was not the winner.
So we're going to hand it over to our friend Paris Hilton, who has very kindly picked the winner and made a reading for us.
Yeah, thanks, Paris.
Hey everybody, it's Paris Hilton. So excited to be back here on Non-Fungibles. I had so much fun with the guys last time. Amazing interview and just great vibes all around. I'm a listener and a fan of the show, so excited to come on here and read another poem. So last time I was on here after the interview, I read a poem and it was about Elon Musk as a gerbil. And I think it's so funny how they make up these different gerbils and then people come up with these really just fun stories or poems, and it's just really cute. So I love this idea. So last time we were on here, they came up with the idea of the That's Hot gerbil. And they said, when people write in their poems, would you be willing to come back and read it? And I was like, yeah, of course. So I was reading a lot of them. They were all so good. It was so hard to choose. I was supposed to choose one, but I just can't decide which one to choose. So I actually have two I'm going to read. All right. So the first one is from The Flaz. Here we go. You all under my influence. I'm a force of nature. Started out as a fan. Now I'm a creator. I'm bringing some heat to this NFT scene. This gerbil is more than an Instagram queen. My reach is growing. I don't preach to the choir. When I woke up this morning, my bed was on fire. Need fireproof gloves to come near my flames. You come for the looks, but you stay for the brains. The mercury's rising when I walk in the room. What's that smell? That's my range of perfume. The heat coming off of me has gone geothermal. What did you expect? I'm That's Hot gerbil. Loves it. That was hot. Thank you, The Flaz. I love this poem. It's so cute. And the second poem is by Jenny C. Williams. That's Hot gerbil grew up part of a very well-known clan, but branching out of hotels was always the game plan. Playing to the crowds, the press, her audacity was rife. The That's Hot gerbil was not destined for a simple life. She built her brand around her blonde and ditzy niche, surrounded by all of her dogs, including Harajuku Bitch. Always a step ahead of the trends, the absolute OG. She taught Kim K everything she knew about reality TV. She kept learning new skills, always giving 100%, even becoming the highest paid Ibiza resident rodent. Combining inner undercover nerd and mad creativity is how she found the exquisite world of NFT. Since then, she supported diversity and artists in the scene, and now the sky's the limit. So we say yas to the crypto queen. Thank you, Jenny. I love this poem so much. It's so cute and so fun. I love how you even got my dog's name in there. And yeah, this was awesome. So thank you both so much. I loved your That's Hot gerbil poems. Honored to be back here today and sending everyone so much light and love. Love you all.
Amazing.
So good.
Thank you. Congratulations to The Flaz and to Jenny C. Williams. Amazing entries, very poetic. And thank you, Paris, for reading them out and coming back.
Yeah, expertly done. And yeah, very kind to come back.
So That's Hot gerbil has been designed by our artist, Lydia, but has been animated by a special guest artist, Soxa Visual. And we met Soxa Visual when he created an amazing 3D model, almost like a clay model of our logo, and just for fun, and sent it to us.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was so amazing. And
what a dude!
He then sent us the file so we could 3D print that, and we have since 3D printed it. And he's very talented, so definitely go check him out. And he's done a great job animating That's Hot gerbil. Okay, so next up we have the very next gerbil. Who's the next gerbil, George?
Well, in light of recent market movements, shall we say, we're going to go with Bear Gerbil.
Bear Gerbil.
Yeah.
Bear Gerbil. He's been long overdue.
Hopefully short-lived.
Hopefully Bear Gerbil is weak.
Well, let's see what the community make of him.
So we have a very special collaboration this time with Dina Jones, who is going to be creating Bear Gerbil. So this is your opportunity to have Stina Jones create your vision. I love it when we have guest artists come in.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And then people can really go, okay, right. The prize is having my vision drawn by my favorite artist. So everyone who likes Stina Jones, I'm sure there's a lot of you. And anyone who wants the gerbil, I'm sure there's a lot of you as well.
Get them in.
Get them in. Who is Bear Gerbil? And I suppose if you tailor that to the style of Stina, then that will probably put you in good runnings.
Definitely. All right, Luke. Well, yeah, another cracker.
Amazing. Thanks, George. See you next time.
Yeah, next time. In the much nearer future this time, I think.